What if you could create more kindness in the world just by being you? Everyone has the potential to create and receive more kindness. What if kindness is more than being nice and compassionate to others? Have you ever considered what having more kindness for you could create in your life? Get ready to learn how the energy of kindness is integral to reducing stress in your life and how it can assist in healing your body. Now, here is the host of Cultivating Kindness with Karen, facilitator of healing, Karen Leslie.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. We have lots to talk about. It's a wonderful, cold, blowy, blustery day where I live in the world, which is, maybe not surprising because we are March, like we're March 20th, 2024. I do live in Ontario, Canada. However, yesterday, it was our spring equinox. And so at the time of spring, everybody's like, ooh, starting to look forward to the temperatures changing and, the colors coming back and everything. And for those of you on the other side of the world, you've just had your fall equinox. And so you have a slightly different perspective on where you are heading, perhaps, than we do here. But either way, it's a wonderful shift in our calendar, in our energetic calendar as well. For the spring one, I went and looked for a color that was a little brighter today, but I have a heavier sweater on over top because, yeah, it's cold and it's windy, and the sounds of it roaring around my house are, well, they're really quite amazing. And so when I think of that sound, that whoosh, and the depth of the sound, like lower notes for a lot of it, it kind of brings back and brings up that idea of, speed, velocity, strength, power. And guess what? Today's show is called Who's Your Hero? So would any of those words fit into how you might look at somebody as being a hero? Speed, for sure, if we're going to think about Superman, right? Power, velocity, like just all of these words are strong. They have a strong energy to them. They have a strong meaning when we use them or we hear them. And I think for a lot of us, there will be words similar to that when we think about the word hero. So it's a little bit of a different title for the show that's on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. And of course, I'm Karen Leslie, your host every week on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. And it was a little while ago that this phrase popped in, or this question popped into my head, like, so who is your hero? And it really made me stop. And I wrote it down in my list that I have for, ideas for upcoming shows. And it just kind of sat there and sat there. And then a little bit ago, it was like, oh, it's time for this show. Little did I know I was going to have my environment outside my window here, kind of adding to it and supporting this whole idea of strength and power, which really does fit in with this idea of hero. So with that being said, I'm just going to go now to the etymology, which, those of you who are here with me on a regular basis, I love doing some research on words. So I looked at the word hero just a little bit ago before we came live on the show. And in the late 14th century, it said man of superhuman strength or physical courage. Then it was also saying hero, demigod, illustrious man. And then there's another part here, and it says that the origin of this is unknown. They weren't, I guess, able to source it accurately. But according to what they call an old theory, that perhaps we had the definition as well of defender or protector. I think really all of that can fit into most people's definition of the word hero. for me, when I think about it, I mean, I have to admit, like Marvel or comic books or, superheroes that way come to mind first before I think of a person who has either lived on the planet previously or is currently living with us now. But I go right into, Superman or these other ways of looking at hero. When I was thinking about myself and thinking, do I have a hero? Because I felt like a lot of people do, especially when we're young as children. I think we have a lot of us can, whether maybe we loved cartoons or maybe we loved comic books, but we had this idea of a hero. For many young children, we can be looking towards our fathers as our hero. Whether you're a little girl or a little boy, I think that's quite a common one that we would look towards a father that way or a father figure that way for us. And quite often, for me anyways, when I think about hero, I kept coming up with a lot of male names or words to represent them. Batman, Superman. You could even go with like the Hulk, or there was, anyways, there was many, many, many. And I was going like, okay, what about the women? Hello? And really, all I could come up with was Wonder Woman. I really struggled with trying to find other female representations of what a hero could be. So I actually looked it up because I was drawing a complete blank. Now, Wonder Woman, awesome. That's a great representation of a female hero for sure. I mean, just her stance and everything, But and apparently she is like the first female hero that we really have recorded down from that perspective. And then others were brought in, one called Black Widow. I'm not familiar with Black Widow. And then another one made me smile. So I was thought, okay, I need to remember to mention this one to you. Sailor Moon. How do you feel about that? Could Sailor Moon be your hero? I don't know Sailor Moon very well. When she was popular, my boys were a little older, and it wasn't really a show or anything that they were really following. But the little I know, I thought, yeah, I could see that. That could definitely work. So we have lots of options. We have people who are currently with us, people who have passed on that left a real mark in society that people will look at them as being a hero. And then we have the imagination. All can offer us so much. They all bring to us different elements and different feelings and emotions, and will bring us potentially to different times within our own life. And that can be comforting, fun, exciting. It can also make you maybe feel a little sad or a little lonely. Maybe you didn't have a ton of friends, and so your friendships were developed in your imagination with some of these different types of heroes. So there's so many influences. So now when I ask the question, who is your hero? What comes to mind now? Is it different than we first started the show just a few minutes ago? Or do you still have that same idea of who your hero is? Or you may be like me and still going, I don't have a hero. I can't think of anybody, real person or fictional, that fits the definition of hero for me. Maybe by the end of the show, I might have a different answer. We'll have to wait and see. I'll let you know if it changes. So this whole idea of having a hero is also not just for children. I mean, it really isn't. The idea of having a hero in your adult years may seem silly, may seem childish to you. And as a result, you may not be telling anybody, or even when I ask the question, who is your hero? You may be discounting that you even have one as a result of your age. It's all fine. I mean, you can do that, sure, but it's absolutely fine from my perspective to have someone, real or imaginary, that you look at as a hero in your adult years. There is a energy that comes through when we look at someone that way. You know, thinking about the etymology, thinking about those words about hero, you know, they are really very, very positive. I mean, superhuman strength, that's amazing. And some of you may have witnessed that just with regular everyday people. We hear stories of someone having just phenomenal strength that they don't normally possess in a time of an emergency, lifting a car, moving a big rock or boulder, or like all different ways, carrying somebody from one location to another where this person's body weight is well above what they normally could carry or lift. So that superhuman strength is possible. And as I say, perhaps some of you have even witnessed it, or maybe it's even been you. This idea of defender and protector, I think that's a very common one. And it's very much what I see being played out in the fantasy world of a hero. You could be that person or see that person that all of a sudden, you know, grabs a little child and pulls them, stops them from crossing the street as a car or a bus or something's coming down the road, where it was just your instinct. You didn't even think about it, but something told you, I have to stop this little guy. I have to stop this little girl. And you do so. And then woof, something comes flying down the street. Is that heroic? Why not? You were a protector. You possibly just saved someone's life. Most likely you're a little older if you're doing that, although it is totally possible for another child to do the same thing for a child, for a child to do the same thing for another child, 100%. Those are heroic measures. Defender, well, we've got those all around the world for us and within our own cities and our own towns. We have defenders there, whether they are ones that wear a uniform or whether they're just people who are really looking out for each other, looking to make a difference and to make their communities safer. So this word hero, like, wow, there are so many ways that we can look at it. There's so many different definitions that we can all come up with that would lead us down different directions as to where we would go with it. In this moment, I don't really have a set direction that I'm going to take you on with this journey of do you have a hero? I do know, though, that my intention is that I'm going to help you with understanding this word, what it means to you, and would you like a hero? Maybe you don't. That's okay. And could you be a hero? You might have an answer to that already based on some of the things I've just said. But most likely, for most of us, when you're asked, well, are you someone's hero? Most of us will go, not likely. I don't know why I would be. But what if you are? What if you are somebody else's hero? That just fills me up with a really unique energy, actually. And part of it is because I'm asking myself as well as you. Our answer is going to be very much dependent upon our definition of the word hero, what it means to us, and do we measure up to that? Or do we even believe in heroes? If you don't, then why would you want to be one? So many different beliefs and perspectives on this one little word. And this small word has so much impact on people's lives in very different ways. So there's a lot that we're going to be talking about as we continue today on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. But we are at our place where we need to go to our first break. So thank you for being here with me on the Inspired Choices Network, where we have fabulous, constantly, continuously, 24/7, wonderful shows and all kinds of different hosts and topics for you to listen to. And I am very grateful that you're choosing to be here with me today on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. If you're listening live, by all means, please come on over and join us in the chat room. Just go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/chat room, and you can join in and be part of this conversation and share with me. What do you think about heroes? Do you have one? And if you do, are you comfortable sharing? Let's see. Come on over and let's have a conversation. So don't go away, everyone. We will be back in just a couple of minutes and carry on talking about heroes. All right. Thanks, everybody.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to karen@karenleslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. So, heroes, right? Such an interesting topic. And really, there's so much more to it than I thought there would be when I wanted to talk about it with you. This little word, right? It's so powerful. Now, is it always powerful in the positive? So what are the pros to having a hero and what are the cons to having a hero? Because remember, there's two sides to every coin. So let's look at both of them a little bit just for a couple of minutes here. So this whole idea, okay, so let's go with the pros. Let's start there. So what would be a pro, a positive to you having a hero? Whether you're a child or whether you're an adult, I don't think it really matters, to be perfectly honest. So pros for having a hero. Well, they can be inspiring. They can be exciting, and they bring excitement into your world or into how you're looking at the world. They can offer support, kindness as well. Like there is an element of kindness in the positive side of heroes with the tasks that you see them doing or the things that you imagine that they could do that would fit very much having kindness at the center of what they're trying to achieve. We've got the idea of confidence, right? Like you think, wow, to do that, like how confident must that person be in who they are or how they're looking at what it is they want to accomplish in the world? Whether you're looking at the fictional ones or those in real life, I think those elements are present for all. There is this whole energy of going out and doing good, like being a positive influence somehow, whether maybe you're a protector, or maybe you're someone that gives inspiration, or maybe this positive side of hero is allowing someone to step into a world that's very different from the one they live in this reality. And that time in that different world provides them with the gifts of confidence or safety, peace, time out to let go of stress and worry. They all sound wonderful. I think those are all wonderful reasons to have a hero or multiple. All right, let's look at the other side. What could be the con? If you've got all those wonderful reasons that it would be great to have a hero, then what's the flip side? What could there possibly be, you might be thinking? Well, the list is probably equally as long. So when you look at your hero, do you go into comparison? Do you go into judgment of yourself? Do you feel you are lacking in some way? I could never do that. And then that makes you maybe feel sad. Maybe you feel isolated or really lonely. The positive side of that with feeling like, you get that sense of peace and quietness and safety when you go into this world of looking at or pretending to be with your hero. Or maybe you actually, if it's someone in your physical world, that you actually get time to be with them, but it's not full time. But then when you're not with them, is that loneliness very evident to you? Or that lack of safety? Does it really rise up in your awareness? Or perhaps you just think it's plain silly to have a hero. That can be a con. Like, that's childish silliness. And you go into a different form of judgment around it. Still a judgment. And then would that make you look at somebody else who actually has a hero in a different way? Do you view them in a way that maybe you're superior? That's dumb, or whatever it might be. But you can have a pro and a con, right? You can see there are two sides to everything. We will usually choose which side we want to be on majority of the time, based on your own beliefs and your own upbringing and your own personal experiences. But please don't push your point of view or your belief onto someone else. Don't, if you are on the side of this is childish and this is really just a silly thing to be doing, don't crush somebody else's belief in a hero. How is that kind? All you're doing is coming from a place of thinking that you know best, which is superiority. Not so easy to say today, right? You're coming from that space of, I know better. Well, that's not respectful from my position, and that is definitely not the energy of kindness. You can be on the other side, thinking having a hero is amazing, it's uplifting, it will lead you to want to do great things in your own life. And then you find someone like, are you crazy? Why would I want a hero? Now you're on the other side, but you can go into the same judgments. You can go into that same place of, I know better. What are you doing? Don't you want more from your life? Again, that energy of not being kind. It is 100% okay for you to hold on to your beliefs and to work with them. I always recommend that we go in and reevaluate our beliefs on a regular basis because we evolve and we grow, we learn new things, our awareness expands, which can mean that how we're looking at something can change. So it is always a good idea to reevaluate your beliefs. But it is never okay, from my perspective, to push them on another person. Have the respect. Give that space for them to have their own. We seem to have lost very much in society, that it's okay to agree to disagree. Maybe that's the new hero quality. What if we could bring up people and change ourselves that we could just agree to disagree? Can that be a hero? I just have all these applications just running into my mind so quickly of how that actually could be a start of a new way of looking at and being a hero. In the chat, I have a couple of great comments here that I want to share with you. And the person writing in is saying that their definition changed about what a hero is after listening to the first segment of the show. And now this person was like, not sure about whether they had a hero. Now it's like, I have lots of heroes, exclamation point. I mean, how cool is that? The important women in history that stood up for women's rights. Absolutely. And then another comment, the women that were brave enough to start the Me Too movement. 100%. When we start to think about it, we can actually see all of these different ways in our life where people have had a real impact on us, where we recognize that, oh my gosh, what they did took something that I wasn't even aware of in that moment. What they did has changed the world from at least my perspective. And we've got men that have done the same thing as well. And there's more men through history that you can think of that would have done something similar, stepped up, spoke, like human rights and, the Black Lives movement, and going right back to all of the racial difficulties that probably every country around the world still experiences. Yes, I'm fully aware of that. But when it really started a few decades, well, multiple, I'm old, a number of decades ago, there were a lot of men and women that really stood up and went against the belief that was commonly held at that time. Are they heroes? Are they a hero for you? They will be for some people, 100%. This whole idea of having these people in our lives that we can look up to, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And then, right, there's this question I asked at the beginning in the first segment. Could you be a hero to someone else? Now, this may feel like, whoa, that's daunting, because you just listed, Karen, all of these amazing attributes of somebody that could be seen as a hero. You just listed off like really important elements in our history. Like, that's not me. I'm just like a regular person going about my day. I have a job, or I stay at home, look after my family, whatever it might be. But have you ever thought about whether you're a mom or a dad or a caregiver for a child, that you could be their hero? I never thought that, never looked at that when my children were young. To be honest, I couldn't have coped with that, with the state of health I had back then when my boys were little. But it's a real, and maybe they saw me that way. I have no idea. I've never asked. But I could see that as a real possibility, that children would look at their parents, not just dad, but mom and dad, as being their hero. You look after them. You do your best to protect them. You do your best to inspire them and to help them along their way. maybe you're their hero. And I wonder who else might look at you as their hero beyond your immediate family. We're going to go into this a little more after we come back from the break, and we're going to talk a little more about this whole idea of being someone else's hero. And I pulled two cards that were phenomenal. Like what they spoke about was so good. I'm going to share a little bit of those as well with you when we come back, because I want this energy to come to you, because I would love you to receive what these messages are. So don't go away. We have so much more that we're going to cover in Cultivating Kindness with Karen when we return from our break. So think about, though, could you be a hero for someone else? It's actually a pretty exciting question. So give it a little thought. We'll be back just in a couple of minutes. And thank you for being here with me. I'm Karen Leslie. You can always send me an email, karen@karenleslie.ca, and we can carry on conversations if you like. Or, of course, you can send me ideas for topics or shows that you would love me to cover on Cultivating Kindness with Karen in the future. All right, we'll be right back with everyone. Thank you so much. Don't go away.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, we've had a lot of conversations around who is your hero. And now we're going to kind of look at, what if you are somebody's hero? We don't have a ton of time left. I know we've got 2 segments, but there's so much that I want to share with you on this that I'm really excited about it. And as you may have noticed, I've stumbled over a few words on today's show. That's part of the joy of a live show, but there's just so much information coming in. So kind of had a little bit of a chat with Spirit saying, slow it down for me a little bit, please. Now, the cards that I looked at for today's show when I was creating it were from what's called the Tree Angel Oracle deck. And it's an amazing deck. I really, really enjoy it. And in each one, there's a little oracle, or like not always a poem. Sometimes it rhymes a little bit, but there's this message that goes with each tree and talks about it. Now, the tree one of the trees that spoke out to us was called a Scots pine. So this is what it says, and I really want you to hear this and think about this from the perspective of hero. Persistence and patience. Stamina needs courage. Doubt evaporates in the fire of devotion, and the streaming life force swells. The spiritual warrior has a single mind and serves a purpose far greater than the self. When I read that, and that was the first thing I read when I opened up from this, in this book, I was like, whoa, like that is such an energy of hero. And this pine tree that's the energy it wants to share with you now. You know, it wants to bring forward for you this understanding of the versatility in you, the versatility in the different roles you can have in life. So to be a hero doesn't mean you be a hero 24/7. I mean, it's not your full-time job. You know, most of the heroes in the fantasy world that I'm thinking of, it was only a part-time gig for them. They had normal everyday lives as well. And then they would don their superhero outfits and they would go and they would do the task that they were summoned for. What tasks are you summoned for? What is the versatility that you have that you can step into for different areas of your life? What different roles can you be? This whole idea of bursting with purpose and preservation. No, that's not the word I want. Persevere. I can't say it today. Isn't that awful? Perseverance. There we go. I'll be really glad when I get these Invisaligns out of my mouth. So, perseverance. I mean, really, doesn't that sound like a hero? You know, persistence, purpose, devotion, fulfilling a role in life. And your role in life can change. As you grow and become more aware, look at the confidence that grows within you and you learn new things. Your roles can change. And so your ability to step into being that energy of a hero will present itself to you if you're open to it. Are you? Are you open to being a hero? It's a really good question. This whole energy of the pine is very strong. The other one was called Linden Tree, and it talked about finding harmony and balance. Well, we know heroes, that's what they were looking for, what they were working to do in their communities or in the world at large to find harmony and balance. That constant, consistent effort to maintain that, to seek it out, and to weed through the areas where it's not present, to be able to bring it in. This card talked about that when you do that, eventually you step into the power of the dragon. And then it goes on to say, the dragon is a symbol of the living energy of the earth, and their blood is the invincible river of creation itself. Sure, there's a whole magical side to that, but I think we already all know that heroes can be magical. So why can't you? Why can't you? I see no reason why you or I, that we cannot be magical, that we cannot create within us this idea of consistently looking to create something in our world that we see as lacking in this moment. For me, right, part of that's a no-brainer. Kindness. Kindness is really important to me, that energy of kindness, to have it present at all times. For me to be that space that wherever I am, I fill that area with the energy of kindness, giving whatever it's going to give to another person. I don't do it with an agenda, never. And I don't know how it's going to be received. It may not be received well, and that's okay. But it is important for me for that energy of kindness to spread around the world more than I see it being shared right now. So if you were to be a superhero, what would that look like? Did you immediately go into thinking, wow, I wonder what I would wear? Did you go into that fantasy world of wondering what your outfit would look like? I don't know, call it a costume, call it a uniform, I don't know what you call it. But did you go into that? I did. And it was kind of funny, actually. But what would it look like to be a hero? Maybe not what would you look like as a hero, but what would it look like for you to be a hero? How would you feel? Maybe a little intimidating or overwhelmed at the beginning until you stepped into this and saw how it was going to fit with who you are. What would you like your superpowers to be? What is something that you know you already can do with ease, that you enjoy doing, and that you wish you could do more often? How can that be looked at as a superpower for you? For me, again, we can go back to kindness. I can look at maybe my ability to work with energy and being an energy healer as a superpower. My intuition could be seen as a superpower. How I hear the words you speak and I get information as to what's actually underneath them and the energy of those words, so I can help you reframe your thoughts, help you reframe these autopilot phrases that you use all the time, get you off and out of autopilot, bring you into the present moment. It's in the present moment that your superhero powers will flourish. They're not in the past, and they're certainly not in the future where you're worrying about it or trying to figure it all out. Your powers come to you now. And when you are present and being within yourself, being strong in who you are, your superpowers, they will arise. They will show themselves. As you step into that, you will see what your powers are. And this isn't from a place of ego. It really isn't. It's from that space of being genuine and authentic with you, from knowing what it is you love to do, what lights you up. What do you know you can do that when somebody else either is the recipient of it or witnesses that you see a change in them? Their eyes light up, a smile may come to their face, maybe their posture changes, or a mood they were in that wasn't one they were really liking to be in. Does it soften? Does it go away completely? These are all ways that your superpowers can help somebody else. Do they need to look at you as a hero? No, of course not. May they choose to? That's a possibility. If it's shared with you, then part of your role, from my perspective, is to take it from the space of gratitude, non-judgment, humility, and to not attach significance to it. Don't go into ego. I know I'm telling you what not to do, and that's really perhaps for some of you not a kindness, so I do apologize. But we need to be cautious of the ego stepping in and taking over. It is always good to acknowledge our strengths. Whether you want to call them superpowers or not, it doesn't matter. But there is value in acknowledging our strengths and our attributes and our capabilities. What is important is we understand that they are part of who we are, but they do not make us better than any other person of any age. And I am referring to little people too. We can be quite unkind with how we share things with the young children. You will know some things they won't know for a while. Absolutely true. But how we share that will be supportive or not supportive in how they see themselves and who they grow up into being and recognizing their superpowers. It is fabulous to acknowledge that you are a hero. It really is. You don't have to tell anyone. Maybe just telling yourself is all that's required. The thoughts that come up when I say that, they are going to bring all kinds of different information to you. Some's going to be comfortable and some's going to be not so comfortable. Both are of value. Allow yourself to be with both sides of that coin and look to see if there's somewhere that you would like to change a belief or to provide some healing for yourself. And then take that action. Find someone to work with. Get yourself to that space that's healthier for you. And that will be such a gift in so many ways. All right. I'm not going to carry on down this road anymore. At the moment, we need to go to our third and final break. When we come back, I will wrap everything up about being a superhero, being a hero, having a hero, all of this around this one small little word, which you can see has such an impact on how we think and who we may choose to be. So don't go away. We've got a really short little commercial break, and then we'll be right back on Cultivating Kindness with Karen here on the Inspired Choices Network. All right. Thank you, everybody.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You know, I would love to hear from you. I would love an email or maybe a direct message on the other social media platforms that you can find me on. You know, maybe you want to share what your superpower is. And maybe, how today's conversation around who is your hero, how it has changed something for you. What has it brought to you that has been a positive impact for you? And also, I'm happy to also hear that if you think, Karen, that show, I don't know, but two sides of every coin. And I understand that. And that's okay. It is. All right. So let's look at this. We left with the idea of your superpowers, like how you could be a hero and how you could be a hero for somebody else. This is partly fantasy, but really it's not. This is very real. And we can all step into this in our own unique way. And I want you to understand, please, that recognizing a skill or, using the word power like we're doing here today should not, and I know I'm using the word should, but I really don't want it to carry for you an obligation, a weight, a heaviness. The idea of looking at this is to actually empower you, to inspire you, to lift you up so you can look at some of these attributes of yourself in maybe a new way. Remember that anytime you've looked at another person and you've admired them in some way, anyway, you could admire how they're dressed. You could admire the car that they're driving. You could admire how they speak or how they are when they get down on the ground and they're playing with young children. Admire how they wrote a book. Anything, everything. Whatever it is that caught your attention, that really kind of flagged something about that person to you, I want you to remember that that energy, that element is inside you. You have that same potential. Doesn't mean you're going to do it in the same way. It doesn't mean it's going to come out and put into the world identical to this other person, I'm not even sure that would be possible. Because you will bring your own uniqueness, your own understanding, your own gifts to that same element that you were admiring. We're not meant to duplicate. We're meant to create from within who we are. Look at fashion. Guaranteed, people in the fashion industry admired somebody else in the fashion industry, but they didn't create the same thing. They went into who they are. They tapped into their powers, their superpowers, and allowed the creation of something else, something different. Was it inspired by another person? Yeah, probably was. But isn't that part of being a hero? Right? Bringing new ideas, showing different ways, leading in a way that may be new, and finding within you that confidence, that desire to stay committed to that, to bring it forth and to literally birth it out into the world. Those are amazing heroes. And it's within each and every one of us. And whether we show it within our family unit and it never leaves the four walls of the home we're living in, it does not matter. The impact that you have and you being you in that moment with those people, that is you being a hero to them. That is you sharing your superpowers to help them for guidance, for protection, for inspiration, for safety, whatever it might be. It's in each and every single one of us. So what kind of inspiration could you be now? What kind of hero can you see yourself being that at the very beginning of today's show, you were like, I don't know, or that is not possible. Do you have a different perspective on it now? Are you feeling more inspired? Remember that pine tree and all of the attributes that came through when I was talking about that card, and I guess it was the second segment. I'm not sure in this moment. That energy, I wish the energy of that Scots pine to each and every one of you for that inspiration and that flow in being you. Now, next week, we have an interesting show, of course, coming up. Next week, the show is called, Did You Inherit Your Self-Image? I think it will be a really interesting conversation, especially after everything we've talked about today with who is your hero. A little bit of self-image might be something you've been thinking about with the conversation we've just been having about what would it feel like? What would it look like? How would you be if you were to allow yourself to step into being a hero for someone else? And what if you can be a hero just for you? Doesn't need to be anyone else. Can you be your own hero? Wow. That is speaking to me a ton. When I said I didn't have a hero, and I don't know how this is going to come across to all of you listening now or on the replay, but I can see me being my hero. I can see that I have been my hero on numerous occasions to get me to the place that I am now, being here with you. It's such a privilege to be here. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for the gift that you just all gave me in that realization. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Cultivating Kindness with Karen. Karen Leslie returns Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can find Karen at KarenLeslie.ca and follow her on social media. Until next Wednesday, Karen is sending you waves of kindness for a fabulous week. Remember, it's only you who has the power to be and receive the kindness required to change your life.